In this video, we'll be solving cotangent of x plus 2 cosecant of x equals 3 for x being between 0 and 360. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract the 3 to both sides. And I'm going to rewrite everything in terms of sines and cosines. So cotangent is the same thing as cosine over sine. Cosecant is 1 over sine. And then with negative 3, I'm just going to write that as negative 3 sine of x over sine of x. Because now I have 3 fractions with the same common denominator. So I can combine all of them together and then set it equal to 0. Now, because I'm setting it to equal to 0, I only have to consider the numerator, because I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of x. So at this point, I'm going to put the 3 sine x to the other side, and I'm going to try to relate the left side to the right side by squaring both sides. Because how do you relate sine and cosine? Well, we know that sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. So I want to take advantage of that trig identity. And by doing that, I have to square both sides. So I have cosine squared plus 4 cosine x plus 4 equals 9 sine squared. Okay, so 9 squared could be subtracted to the other side, and it'll give us negative 9 sine squared. And now I can make the substitution. So I'm going to substitute 9 cosine squared minus 9 in for negative 9 sine squared. So you can think of this as 9 sine squared plus 9 cosine squared equals 9. And so you solve for negative 9 sine squared to be 9 cosine squared minus 9. So now we have everything in terms of cosines, so we can combine like terms. The cosine squared plus 9 cosine squared is 10 cosine squared. And we still have 4 cosine x, and then 4 minus 9 is negative 5. Now at this point, it would be nice if we can factor this, but it turns out we can't, so we have to use the quadratic formula. So we get 2 different solutions for cosine. So now we can just solve for x by finding the inverse cosine. So remember, the domain here, we wanted to look at x being between 0 and 360 degrees. So if we look at just the first inverse cosine, we get 159.2 degrees and 200.8 degrees. And then for the second answer, we get 57.67 degrees and 302.33 degrees. The next step, we have to verify that the solutions are correct. Because remember, in the beginning, we squared both sides. And when we squared both sides, we get more answers. So we got 2 additional answers that are not actually the correct answer when we plug it into the original equation. So our goal now is to plug everything in. So plug these 4 answers in to see which one works. And it turns out only 57.67 degrees and 159.2 degrees are the correct answers.